What's up, everybody? This is Chris back again, along with both of my co hosts, Crystal and Ty. This is the Pedal Dance Podcast. And today we do have an interesting topic for you. Crystal, would you like to get into it?
Oh yeah, today's topic involves Pokemon controversies over space and time. So we're going to just talk about them mostly, and please interact in the comment section below. And of course, they're in no particular order, but the first one I really wanted us to talk about is probably the most notable Pokemon controversy that most people are familiar with, and that is the episode involving Porygon in the anime. So just a little bit of background for people who are not familiar. The anime episode involving Porygon was controversial because of the strobing lights. Japanese children watched this, and some of them started having seizures, so they banned that episode. And as a result, they also banned Porygon in every single one of its evolutionary stages from ever being a part of anime episodes. So there is a controversy. Ty, Chris, we can discuss this. What are your all's thoughts on this?
Well, if I may, I don't think it was a few. I think it was like, I remember reading something about, was it 300,000? That's quite a lot more than a few. But I personally have seen the episode or what have you, and honestly, that just seemed like one of the old timey problems in comparison to something newer. Because I know that The Incredibles 2 also has a scene that supposedly causes epilepsy as well, for that matter. And they actually had warning signs on the theaters for that type of thing. So I think because of, I think Pokemon was rather the first one to really bring that into light, that was a condition that could happen with TV. So after that episode did occur, they started taking more cautionary actions to preventing the reoccurrence.
Well, I mean, I get the fact that they took this rather seriously, but banning Porygon and the evolutions from any future episodes, I think that was a little bit too extreme.
I agree with that.
And
As do I, especially with its evolutionary lines. Like, even though Pikachu's electric attack was the one that set off the strobe lights, Porygon was the one that had to pay the consequences. But again, I understand why they chose to essentially make Porygon the scapegoat, but to ban it for this long, including its evolutionary line, like Porygon 2 and Porygon Z didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
hashtag free Porygon. I much prefer Porygon over Pikachu. Screw that electric mouse. But that's just me. All right, so Crystal, what's the next one?
Okay, so this one's there are a lot of the topics are a little bit more dated, like the Porygon topic. So this next topic's probably the most
Recent?
recent. It's not really current. It was a controversy that happened maybe about 2 years ago that continues to linger on, but you don't really hear about it as often. But it's about Pokemon Go Pokestop locations. A lot of them were like at cemeteries, churches, memorials, locations in which it's usually frowned upon for playing apps on your phone, and a lot of people just found that shameful and a part of that controversy. I don't know how often this actually occurred. Hopefully less often than what people would think. But there were thieves that were putting out Poke lures around Poke stops and robbing and hurting Pokemon Go players. So the Pokemon Go Pokestop locations that was definitely a controversy. What are your thoughts?
This is the first I'm hearing of that, though. But I will agree that with the grave thing, because I live next to a Confederate graveyard, and please don't pick at me for where I live. I didn't choose it, but there are a ton of Pokestops in this Confederate graveyard. But this is the first I'm hearing of the grave robber situation or what have you. I know a lot of people were trying to demonize it. I'm not sure how well that went over, but Chris, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Um, and they're just trying to get people to do it more. So I really don't have anything else to say. I mean, that's the only reason they made um controversial Pokestops in the first place. They were just trying to get it on a larger scale and make people just walk more. That's just the way I see it.
Well, in fairness, the Confederate graveyard is a bit of a tourist trap. I don't remember if they charge people to get in or not. I think they're still doing that, but I know around the Christmas time or what have you, they'll decorate the trees and lights and stuff. And I know for a fact that they charge for tours then. But I'm not sure if the Pokestops are just kind of added to their little tourist attraction, or how much they're benefiting from that, or what have you. But again, with the grave robber situation, it's not something I typically hear about, especially with these Pokestops.
Well, Crystal, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I definitely see the arguments. When I was an active Pokemon Go player, we actually had this huge cemetery nearby. It had more Pokestops than any other location in my relatively small town. So a lot of Pokemon Go players were in this cemetery just swinging by all these Pokestops left and right. And I definitely understand how it can be disruptive, especially if there's an active funeral occurring. Um, I kind of have mixed opinions about it. I want there to be more Pokestops, but at the same time, I just have to put myself in someone's shoes. Like if I were burying someone that was near and dear to my heart, I think I would be a little PO to see all these people just walking past this funeral, walking across a potential gravestone just to get more Pokeballs. So I guess I could say I'm mostly against it if I have to just think about it out loud.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, there are more places that would have made better Pokestops that they didn't make. So yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, on that standpoint, I would have to agree with that as well. That if the cemetery is still taking burial actions or what have you, I can see where that would definitely get disruptive. I don't really know if they've had any recent burials at this particular graveyard, but yeah, that's also something to take into consideration. I don't typically see the Pokestops at any other of my local graveyards, but then again, I don't really visit cemeteries quite often. I just happen to notice this one because it's in a pretty populated area of town. So, yeah.
Okay, so I
So,
guess we'll go on to the next controversy. Okay, so the next controversy I have listed involves reoccurring Nazi imagery in Pokemon. Sometimes it came across in a Pokemon card, sometimes during the anime, dex entries, game design. Um, Even if it was not meant to be Nazi imagery, it came across as that way. Um, so I think the most famous or first example was, I believe it was Koga's Golbat. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that card had a symbol on it that looks like a Nazi symbol but wasn't. But because it was so close to the Nazi symbol, they had
Okay,
to edit it out. But Chris, you have more information about that. Can you share it?
I'm sure. Okay, the card in question is it was a trainer card called Koga's Ninja Trick. And in the Japanese version, it had what did appear to be a swastika, but it was reversed and had dots in there. And that is what's known as a manji. And a manji is used on maps to locate Buddhist temples. And it's something that's been used for a very long time, even before the swastika became a thing. It's just people saw it and automatically thought, you know, Nazi sign. So it's really kind of unfair to do that, but I mean, that's just what people who, especially people who don't know anything about Buddhist temples or anything other than like here in America, nobody really knows stuff like that. So it's kind of easy for them to just base it on what they do know. But yeah, but it was just a manji. It was just a reverse swastika that is used to mark Buddhist temples on maps. And it was only released in the Japanese version, and there are people who sold the Japanese cards to the U.S. and other countries, and that's how it pretty much got out. It was never intended to be sold outside of Japan.
If I have to add something there, I will say this. You did ask for me to correct you if you were wrong, Crystal, but I don't think that was the first sign of Nazi controversy in Pokemon. I actually think it was the episode where Meowth was dressed up as Hitler in that one episode featuring the Safari Zone.
Oh yeah, I just wasn't sure which one came first. I just knew they were both the Generation 1. But yeah, there were several episodes, even a screenshot of Team Rocket doing essentially waving one arm in the air, similar to how Adolf Hitler waved one arm in the air. And there was even, um, I believe it was a Dex entry or a picture of Reggie still doing something similar. Um,
Yes, it was in the beta for Ruby and Sapphire that had Reggie still doing that.
So, what are y'all's thoughts on that? Do you think they were meant to be innocent, just poses, and unfortunately they were just wrong place, wrong time, or what are y'all's thoughts?
When it comes to Team Rocket, I definitely think it was wrong place, wrong time. Uh, the Reggie still, I think, was a little bit less tasteful. But that when it comes to Meowth, I mean, there's nothing besides just the mustache that linked him to Hitler. I mean, yeah, that was Hitler's look, but I mean, it would have, it was just a little immature to go just on a flipping mustache. I mean, yeah, if he was dressed up in some type of army outfit, that would have done it a little bit more. But I mean, just a mustache. I mean, there are people now who still do that mustache.
Yeah, well, I'm not really sure what to think with the whole Reggie Steele thing. I'm not sure how innocent that really plays out to be. Uh, I would personally like to hear a little more about that from the creators because I don't think I've heard enough explaining why they did that in the first place. Meowth. Honestly, I don't really get what the big deal is when Family Guy has been known to go through the same boundaries. But I know that because it's a kids show, they put a lot more restrictions on that type of thing. But I mean, they are relating a bad guy with a bad guy, but Team Rocket's not always bad, so maybe that's why they're going against the grain there a little bit. And also, going back to Koga, when I think of Koga, I typically think of his Johto region Crobat. So when you associate him with first generation, I don't really see it as first generation because I know he's had a Crobat. But then again, I grew up playing the second gen games more so than the first generation games, so I get a little hazy about that one as well. So
But you got to remember, he was a gym leader in the first one, but he only moved up to the Elite Four in the second one, which
Yeah,
had
oh,
both
is that what
Johto and
happened?
Kanto.
And I was just referring to the time in which that card was released. Was it released
Right.
during the Generation 1 time?
It was released during Generation 1. Yes.
Okay. So that's where I got confused. That's my bad, Crystal.
Okay, it's totally fine. But I guess we're on to the next controversy topic.
Oh, we didn't get your opinion, Crystal.
Well, okay, so I just have a lot of ignorant questions. The answers to the ignorant questions would determine my opinion.
Gotcha.
So, the Pokemon creators, how aware were they of Hitler's reign and Nazism? Like, I know we Americans were very aware of that, but were they aware of all those events in Japan? Yeah, I know this sounds like a really ignorant question, but I just want to know how much they had that in mind before making those designs.
That's a good question, though.
Now I'm really thinking about that. Damn it! Now
I
this is
know, right?
up.
Okay, so I'm glad it's not a totally dumb question after all, but if they were aware of it as much as or more than America, then I felt like all those could have been easily avoided. And a little bit more shame on them if so, but if they were more ignorant to that side of history, then it's just one of those things I can't really blame them for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Okay,
Fair.
but okay, so next on the list, um, the Safari Zone episode in Pokemon. It was banned, I believe, because the Safari Zone warden, um, or Warren, he held a gun and essentially threatened them, and I think he even fired it off occasionally. And in America, apparently that would inspire fear and or violence with children, and that's why the episode was banned. What are your all's thoughts on that?
Okay, I want to go first. This is completely freaking stupid. If that's the case, why not ban all the flipping Looney Tunes episodes that have people like Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam using guns? That's completely stupid.
Right. Well, if I may, I think the reason why, Chris, that it didn't get as controversial as it did with Looney Tunes, is because with Looney Tunes, those were all fully grown characters in relations to those guns.
But it's
Uh,
not talking about, it's not going with age. It's just the fact that he had a gun.
well, yeah, that. This is true too. But this guy did point the gun at Ash's head in the episode because I have actually seen this episode.
I have too.
And now, granted, it's been a while. I can't remember whether or not he actually did fire off any shots. It seemed like if he did, it was toward Team Rocket. But again, like there's just something about a grown man pulling a gun at a little kid that somehow doesn't make it seem as innocent as it does in Looney Tunes.
Yeah, but there's a grown man shooting an animal that makes it more acceptable. I don't think so.
Eh, I don't know where they draw that line. It gets really, really hazy. But if I swear, if I worked in the TV rating industry or what have you, I'm not really sure what I would have done with that either. So I can only imagine how conflicted they were with giving that rating.
Yeah. All right. So, Crystal,
So, you both seem or appear to have more strong opinions. I'm kind of on the fence about this one. So, of course, comparison between Looney Tunes and Pokemon. But even though they were both on Cartoon Network, to my memory, they were both through different companies through Cartoon Network. So they had different standards, different I guess you could say, screening criteria. And at one point, the Looney Tunes episodes that involved guns and other forms of, I guess you could classify it as potential violence or violence. Those episodes got banned and or censored. So that is them essentially making everything more consistent. Just to throw that little tidbit in. But I really don't have a strong opinion on that controversy, because how many kids would actually watch that episode and think it's cool to threaten others with a gun? Like, I do not know. I mean, I've been a kid once. I know most likely how I would have reacted as a kid. Like, oh, that's just his personality. He was only a character in that one episode. So if I have to push myself one way over the fence, instead of just being on top of the fence, I would say that I felt like that episode shouldn't have been banned, possibly remade to replace the gun with an octillery. I know it was Generation 1, but octilleries essentially, it's
The
an
bazooka Pokemon.
yeah, so I thought that would be a hilarious censor, but yeah, I'm not really too passionate about that episode. I mean, it did cut out the reason why Ash got all of the Tauros, but ultimately it could have been a more climactic episode. Like if Ash would have evolved a Pokemon and gotten a gym badge within that episode, then I think that episode still should have aired, personally.
Well, that episode did leave me confused about the Tauros. You are absolutely correct on that, though. There is one correction I would like to make, though. You said Cartoon Network earlier. It was actually Warner Brothers that did both Looney Tunes and Pokemon before they got shifted to Cartoon Network.
Was there a point in which they were on Warner Brothers
Kids
and
WB. One was on Kids WB. I think Looney Tunes was also on the Saturday morning on ABC or what have you, maybe. But they were definitely both owned by Warner Brothers, because I'll never forget Bugs Bunny chewing that carrot on top of the WB.
Okay, and with them switching companies, providers, stations, whichever term is correct, that would explain the, I guess you could say, corrections to the violent Looney Tune episodes. But I guess those are all the comments about the gun episode. So I guess on a similar note, of course, we cannot talk about Pokemon without bringing up PETA. There was a huge thing, Pokemon Black and Blue version. PETA claims Pokemon inspires humans to beat up their animals, have them beat each other, be their masters, lock them up, all that. I don't have a word for it, but I honestly do. I'm not going to say I agree with PETA completely, but I do see where animal violence and cruelty can come across. Do y'all remember the episode in which Jessie from Team Rocket caught her Seviper? She literally beat it with her fist, her legs, her feet. She was literally beating up Seviper with her bare hands. And I think that episode was probably one of the more prominent examples of promoting Pokemon or even animal violence. What are your thoughts on that topic?
That one really takes me back, though, because like when I think of that Survivor, like, oh my gosh. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen any of the Hoenn episodes. Now Black and Blue, on the other hand, I have played that one. That one's it's actually a pretty decent fan based game, if you can call it that, really. It was pretty short lived, in my opinion, and it was definitely an interesting look at a different perspective from both the Pokemon and trainers' viewpoints, for that matter. Like, I have never thought of Professor Juniper in such a terrible mannerism before that game, rather. And, well, honestly, it does get pretty conflicting thinking of it from that aspect, but, like, you got to remember Pokemon aren't supposed to battle until they're dead. I mean, that was the whole point of Pokemon the first movie. Okay, they wore themselves out, just battling and battling and battling, and like that was the whole point of the first movie, was that this isn't about violence. This is, it's basically like sparring or wrestling or what have you for the Pokemon, but it just wasn't getting that message across to PETA. So that's my take on the matter. Chris, what's yours?
I mean, you pretty much just said everything right there. They got the wrong message, and they're stubborn to see it that way. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be taken as animal violence, but that's just that face, like, just face value. They don't look deeper into the actual story or anything, and
Mm-hmm.
that's their problem, not ours. We know how the
Yeah.
games are. We know what the story is. They don't. They're just seeing what they see and just claiming it to be, oh, it's animal violence. They don't know what it's about. So
Mhm.
screw PETA.
And even if they want to go on the whole, this is promoting animal violence train, uh, take a look at the Machop line. Like, they're obviously modeled after human beings, and those Pokemon are in battle, battling each other until one can no longer battle. Is that promoting human on human violence? Where's PETA saying that?
All very good questions. Like, I'm not really sure where PETA gets their perspective from, because it's they don't really dig into the actual fan base. They just want to make their own perspectives on what they see. I mean, they're no better than the religious people who are trying to demonize Pokemon because they're against evolution. So,
To me, it honestly just seems like PETA's just trying to troll. That's all it is to me. And if so, they're doing a pretty good job of it.
yeah.
Okay, so I guess next on the list, I would imagine this one would be a short topic to discuss, but it has been mentioned several times, and this is a common theme that you would encounter throughout the games. But some people say that Pokemon promotes gambling, and they say it's a controversy because some people can get addicted to gambling and other forms of bad behavior associated with it. And of course, the Game Corner and other similar venues have been introduced in, I want to say, almost all of the earlier games. I don't think they had been a part of the newer games. My memory is a bit fuzzy. The game corners were not really a passion of mine, so obviously it did a poor job of promoting gambling and other addictive behaviors with me. But what are your all's thoughts on the whole pro gambling controversy of Pokemon?
Well, I guess Chris has let me go first since he didn't respond in time. But I personally live next to a bunch of casinos. And honestly, when I first got Pokemon Silver, it was my first game. Uh, I personally loved doing the slot machines because I felt like I was being one of the adults, what have you. Because like I know that they gamble or what have you. Because I've been in the casino environment, I've witnessed a little bit of that firsthand. But yeah, so like I really enjoyed the slot machines, but I never got addicted to that crap. And if anything, it taught me a lot about financial responsibility or what have you, because you can't just go blowing all your game coins on the game corner thinking you're going to win a ton of money back. That's not how this works. And honestly, Pokemon Silver taught me very much about gambling at a young age. And when they did the remake and they omitted that, and I only had the Voltorb flip, I was really annoyed because Voltorb flip is about as hard to play as Minesweeper, and like that was really crappy. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they completely omitted the game corner come Kalos region because I don't remember there being a game corner in the Kalos games. I think the last one I can recall was in Unova. But yeah, so like I think that was kind of stupid that they omitted the gambling session because I thought that was a very important lesson regardless of age, and it just kind of gave you the taste of the adult life, what adults do and why they get into that type of thing and what have you. So I kind of found that to be a vital lesson. Chris, what's your take?
Okay. Do I see this as gambling? Not really. Okay, gambling, of course, is banned in Japan. There is this, I want to say it's pachinko in Japan, that is a form of legal gambling where they win money doing the game and they could actually trade tickets that they win and get prizes. Like I said, it is a legal form of gambling that they implemented into the game. So, no, I do not see this as gambling. To me, this is just a fun little time waster at best. I do not see it's just a fun aspect of the game. It's just something different. It's just something like if you've been battling and grinding all day and you just want to sit and relax and just have fun and just rest your mind, you do that. That's just something to help you relax. I don't see it as gambling because I've never met anybody in my life who said they lost all their money because they lost all their money in Pokemon and they had to try it in real life or anything like that. So no, I don't see that. Ty, have you ever met anybody who used to play that in the Pokemon games and had to do it in real life and lost all their money?
Well, honestly,
This
I
is a
can't
yes or no
really.
question. This is a yes or no question.
Because I could go on, but no, but I think there's other reasons that I have to add into that to really give a justified answer. But other than that, no.
Okay, just a yes or no question. Okay, cool. No. Crystal, have you?
The answer is obviously no.
All right then. And for me, no. So no, I do not see this as gambling. What are your thoughts, Crystal?
I think it's just one of those topics that's essentially a topic that people get when they're bored and they're trying to start up some controversy. This is just a topic they go to. It's I can understand why some people might label it as gambling, but not as addictive or harmful gambling, like what you're losing money. And I can't really say that there have been any studies or even news articles about someone becoming addicted to Pokemon gambling and then taking their addiction in the game and carrying it over into real life. Heck, I've never even heard of anyone addicted to Pokemon gambling within the game, period.
Right. And see, that's another thing that people don't realize. You're not gambling your own money. You're gambling the coins you collect.
Which you could always get more at any time in the game, legally.
Right. Right. Or you could just happen to find some on the ground.
I don't remember there being actual Pokey on the ground. I remember having to get it through trainers mostly.
No. I'm talking about the coins for the game corner.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love this for you. It's just walk around the game corner, click A, find some coins, talk to people. They'll give you free coins just so you can shut up.
Right. Ah, the good old days.
Okay, so looking at the next topic, Chris, I want you to talk about it mostly just because you're more familiar with the Kadabra card.
Oh, okay, Kadabra. Okay, so in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was an illusionist named Uri Geller who had a problem with one Kadabra card that got printed, which was Dark Kadabra. In Japanese, Kadabra's name is Jungerer, which is very similar to Uri Geller's name. And he had a problem with that, plus the fact that Dark Kadabra made it seem like they were making him to be satanic or something like that. And he put a lawsuit out against that. And because of him, we haven't had a Kadabra card since that whole incident happened. Which I think is stupid because, yeah, the names sound similar. His big trick, like his calling card, was basically bending spoons using telepathy powers or ESP or whatever. And honestly, he was found out to be a big fraud. So honestly, because of that, I think it should have gotten dropped. And we haven't had a Kadabra card since, and it's just a real shame, especially because he's been found out. And I think they really should have been able to make more Kadabra cards. I understand they don't want to go through any more controversy with it, but at the same time, it's over. There's no point not to make Kadabra cards anymore. But and that's my take on it. Ty, Crystal, what are your thoughts? I know, Crystal, I know you're not big into the TCG. Ty, you're somewhat into it. More collecting than competitive, I know.
Yeah,
But
I
what are your thoughts?
love my collection. It's always something to look at. I actually just got binders for two of my sets there. Um, but yeah, so honestly, I do think that's kind of annoying for Kadabra to get the short end of the stick on this whole ordeal. I mean, like, Kadabra isn't the best looking Pokemon, but it's not the worst looking either, and it's actually quite a pretty cool and interesting Pokemon. Uh, honestly, uh, it's not something I really acknowledged during my collection of all the TCG cards I do have. And I have, well, shoot, I never really counted them before, but I'm pretty sure I'm up into like the 3,000s. But yeah, it wasn't something I really noticed until I first heard of this. And like, I mean, I don't get what it is about people not wanting to be viewed as satanic or what have you. I know a lot of people back in the day, they used to idolize that type of thing. And it's just absolutely mind blowing. And then he got proven to be a fraud at that. I mean, like, I just don't get why his credibility didn't completely throw him under the bus that this kid's been overlooked. Because, like, again, it wasn't really something I noticed until this was mentioned to me, and it was just mind blowing to realize that. What about you, Crystal?
Well, it's hard for me to have an opinion since my opinion of the trading card game isn't as strong as the both of you, but it
Lame.
it is unfortunate. I like Kadabra. It has the right to new designs with new concepts. It's really saddening to hear that there cannot be a new Kadabra card. So, um, especially hearing that he was a fraud, there should definitely be new Kadabra cards.
Agreed. And I mean, that doesn't mean we're not going to have any in the future. Just for right now, we're not going to have any. Which, like I said, is a shame. And there's something else that Kadabra was controversial about. It had something to do with like the little stripes on its midsection, but I don't remember too much about that. So I think we should just skip on that.
Okay.
Okay. So the next topic we have, I only like I looked up list of Pokemon controversies, and I only saw a small blurb about this, but this small blurb really got me thinking a bit. And this next topic of controversy is sexism in Pokemon. Um, Before I go into my details and my reasonings, I really want to hear what you all have to think about and share. Do you think Pokemon has aspects of sexism invented or implemented?
Yes, I do. I can think of an episode and a TCG card that have both exploited this. What about you, Chris?
And that's about the best I can do.
Do I need to do yes or no with you two?
Sure, why not? Go for it.
Yes or no? What is it, Chris?
Or wait until you hear what we have to say before you come up with a yes or no?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that because I know pretty much both of you are probably going to be on the yes side of things. So let's see how this plays out.
I think it's just perspective. Like, of course, most sexism tends to be sexism against women, so that just gets caught easier by us. And if you notice sexism against men, that's probably caught by you as well. Like, one banned Pokemon episode was because James had breasts. I think that's sexist against men, for example. But
I did find it funny though.
oh yeah, definitely hilarious. But um, I do think they're well. I'm not gonna outright call Pokemon sexist, but they do have their moments of sexism. Um, like this is very minor, but the main character has always been Ash. He has always been this independent, go-getting, um, likable character, and of course he has not really been replaced. So if he ever gets replaced one day, a lot of people are wanting him to be replaced by an equally likable female, just because when you think
Not
about
Iris, though.
not Iris, but when you think of like children's cartoons and the main characters, you always would think about the main character typically being a likable male. So Pokemon just kind of fell into that as well. Their main character was not a female, even though Misty was always on the side. And throughout the generations, Ash would always have a side chick, just never really dominating the spotlight, never really being better in battles than Ash most of the time.
Which
Um,
annoyed me because Ash is so incompetent.
and a lot of them explored very feminine alternatives to becoming a Pokemon trainer, like May with her contest, Dawn with her, they all just explored the contest. And Ash was also traveling with men. Why didn't they explore the contest? Why were these women not interested in beating Ash in battles and becoming a Pokemon master for their self and being in the Pokemon League? But there was another aspect of sexism that I was thinking of earlier has left my mind. I will bring it back up if I can think of it. But what examples do you have specifically, Ty?
Well, the examples that I had with the anime in particular was definitely that same band episode that you were discussing. However, my take on it was the fact that like the fact that breasts seem to be a really controversial female body part for that matter. It's like that they constantly seem to be getting sexualized these days, and they edit out a big chunk of the proceedings of how James became to look like a female in the first place in this episode. And I mean, I'm not going to criticize, the episode itself or the way it took place or what have you. I just think it's really absurd that it got censored for that reason and then eventually just cut altogether. I thought that was really stupid. Now you do make a good point though. We've always had a strong male lead in the anime with Ash. Nobody ever really seems to step up. Um, the fact that the side chicks, as you call them, were always going in a contest, that really irked me. I would like to see somebody kind of give Ash more of a run for his money. And I think the best example I could think of that was actually the one girl in the Johto region who had the Chikorita. She was a real big baseball fan for
Casey,
the Electabuzz team. Yeah, see, you know what I'm talking about. I couldn't remember her name for the life of
of
me.
course, she had a Chikorita. How was I going to forget that?
Yes, you would. You would know. So yeah. But yeah, I would like to see more characters like her that were really ambitious and go-getting. That would be pretty cool to see, in my opinion. I do at least like that there is some sort of gender diversity in Pokemon. Like it's not just men that are, getting these creatures or what have you. It's also with the women who are fawning over them as well. But I think that their perspective a lot of the time is taken to look more like a feminine perspective rather than just a gender neutral aspect of things. And then there's also the TCG card I mentioned. There's actually been a Japanese card that they fixed here in the States where they corrected this Grimer's the vision because this Grimer was upskirting a girl in one of the cards, and they averted his eyes whenever that card came to the States. So yeah, that was something that I'm guessing you didn't know about, Crystal. So
I did know, but that was so far back in my memory that I've forgotten about it. Thank you for reminding me of that. That's another example, and I did remember what I forgot, so I'm going to say it before I forget it again. So, of course, vivid Pokemon fans have watched the anime season after season. Ash wants to win a Pokemon League for the first time in his 10-year-old life. But think about all the top competitors that he faces in the Pokemon League. Think about who the actual victors are in the Pokemon League. Usually, all of the top competitors are men, and all of the victors of the Pokemon League, men. Of course, in the first season, in the Indigo Plateau, you did not see who won that, but you see the silhouette, and the first place winner has the silhouette of a male. But that was just another point I wanted to bring up. Like, why isn't Ash in the Pokemon League losing to a female who ends up winning the league entirely?
uh, yeah, those are some good points to make there, Crystal. I hadn't really gave it that much thought or what have you because it's been a while since I've really watched the older episodes, especially. As a matter of fact, I've been slacking on the Alolan episodes. I really need to catch up with them as well. But they've also added more female side chicks in this particular season too. But even still, they had the one female who was scared to even touch Pokemon at first. Her name was Lily, and she's finally becoming a trainer now. So, but yeah, that also adds to more of this stereotyping. So Chris, did that enlighten you at all, or?
Well,
Well,
keep in mind that the topic involves essentially signs, symptoms, moments of sexism. Like, we're not calling Pokemon a sexist company, but we cannot deny that there are a few features of Pokemon that just come across as sexist. That's all that the controversy is talking about.
right. And yeah, you two have proved it. And I was just going to say that they are not sexist. You did just cover that you're not calling it sexist because you were just going over just small controversial sexist things within it. So yeah, you've proved it.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I mean, because just for the fact that look, there are women who are gym leaders, and even one, no, two, who are
Claire
champions of their
rocks.
own league. So what?
Claire's definitely one of my favorite gym leaders. So.
I think we can all agree that Whitney's the worst. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely. But I just
dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow.
But
I just,
okay, yes. Is
yeah,
Pokemon sexist? No. Do they have sexist things within the games, anime, and stuff like that? Definitely.
oh yeah, and I just thought of one more example. So Team Rocket, Jesse and James. Look at Jesse exposed, um, more exposed skin, wearing sexier clothing, and also look at Ash's side chick, Misty. She's wearing short shorts, exposing her um like half of her stomach. Oh yeah, that, and I don't know why that word just like escapes my vocabulary, but essentially females were introduced just as eye candy from the get-go. But I'm glad that they at least fixed that issue.
Yeah, but it shouldn't have never been an issue.
Also,
because to me, Misty's way better than Ash ever will be.
Yeah. But no, Chris, I was actually thinking of another episode when we got to mentioning gym leaders. There was that one particular episode where Ash almost found himself banned from a gym because it was ran by a female. And that was the Erica episode.
Yeah, but it wasn't really because it was a female. That was because, well, I don't know if it was true in the Japanese version, but in the anime version, he didn't like the smell of the perfume, and that's why he was banned. Not because it was ran by one.
Yeah.
Didn't Ash also make comments that came across as sexist, and that's a part of the reason why he was banned? It was, this was a long time ago, so I'm just trying to draw.
Yeah, it's a very long time ago. I can't remember much about it.
Well, yeah, you're right.
One episode that really made me mad because he didn't even battle to earn that darn badge. Okay, yeah, he ran in a burning gym to save a gloom, but I mean, that's still no reason. You still have to battle. You still have to earn that badge.
He did try.
That's not good enough to earn a badge. What?
He did at least try. He had Team Rocket try to get him in there by portraying them as a daughter. But like in the same token, though, you're absolutely right. He was gonna get banned from this gym because he didn't care for the smell of perfume. But then he had to throw himself under the bus by bringing the whole sexist issue into it, and so it basically just became this one big old argument between boy versus girl. So.
But yeah, that first generation, not to stray off topic too much, during the Ash's first journey, weren't about half of his badges essentially given to him? Like with Brock, the sprinklers were set off. He gets a badge. Battle with Misty was interrupted. He gets a badge. Erica, saving Gloom, badge. Making Sabrina laugh, badge. Team Rocket was the last gym leader. Jesse and James, I don't even count that as a victory.
So I don't either.
That was like given to him as well. But yeah.
The only gym leaders he beat were Lieutenant Surge and Koga, looking at it. Well, Blaine too. But I still think Blaine versus Magmar versus Charizard should have been the other way because screw Charizard. But that's just my opinion. I like Magmar more than I like Charizard. Come at me. But anyway, we need to get back on topic. Crystal, what's the next one?
Wait, who were the gym leaders that you said Ash beat? Sorry.
Koga and Lieutenant Surge.
I got a feeling we're forgetting a gym leader, but yeah, we can go back to the topic.
Okay, so hold up. Well, yeah, and Blaine. He beat Blaine. But that's why I was talking about Magmar was better than Charizard, so he should have won. Anyway.
Okay, so the last controversy.
Ooh, all right.
Dumb Ash as the main character. Why is he still around? Why hasn't he retired? This is not really controversy. I'm just sick of them.
I am too, but he's the one character that draws money for the anime part of Pokemon. He's their main character. He's always been and he always will be. And it's been stated if he ever does win a league, then it's over. And I don't agree with that because there's so many people that they could choose for that main character spot that would work just as well, if not better.
Oh yeah, like I think they can easily replace Ash. However, I think replacing his Pikachu would be the more difficult of the situation. Um, Ultimately,
I
I
don't
want Team
necessarily
Rocket
find that difficult.
to replace Pikachu, the mascot of Pokemon.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that difficult at all.
How so?
Let somebody start out with a flipping Greninja. As much as I hate it, you know Greninja's already bigger than Pikachu.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Let somebody just starting out their journey already start with a flipping fully evolved starter. Let's see how well that works. And yes, Greninja is more popular than Pikachu. You can debate it, Ty, all you want to. It's true.
I don't know. I'm more surprised they didn't try this route with Lucario. But now
Because
like
Lucario's not as popular. I'm not
uh,
okay. Here's the thing: I don't like Lucario. I'm not going to deny its popularity, but it's not as popular.
well, yeah, but Lucario existed first. That's why I was just using it
Oh,
as
I
an
like
example.
Lucario way. I like Lucario way more than I like Greninja. Crystal, I said that just for you, but sadly, he's just not as popular. But
I
like
don't
I
know
said,
where y'all
Ash
get these polls from.
and Pikachu is replaceable. If I had a choice, I would have replaced Pikachu with a flippin' Weedle, and I would still enjoy it more.
Even if it was Weedle with Ash, like you would have replaced Pikachu before Ash.
I'm wondering if you would have felt this way if it was Clefairy.
I would love if Clefairy was the mascot because I love Clefairy.
But don't you
You
hate
say this thing.
overrated Pokemon?
Say what?
Don't you hate overrated, overexposed Pokemon? Because if Clefairy were the mascot, Clefairy would be in Pikachu's situation.
My
I
point.
don't think it would. I don't actually think it would get that much. I think it'd be a little. I think it wouldn't be as popular as Pikachu is now. That's just me, though. I think it would be popular because it's the mascot, but I don't think it reached this level of popularity.
Oh yeah, I can definitely agree with that. I think Pikachu just has more universal appeal based on design, but here's
Right.
another concept when it comes to replacing main characters. Um, of course, I'm kind of biting my own based on what I said earlier, but how about, do you remember Ash's rival, Richie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Somebody was not. I was not the only one thinking about that.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Like, they could easily replace Ash with him and Sparky, his Pikachu.
Well, that'd be cute.
I'd watch that. That'd be cool. Here's the thing. Here's the one thing I really hate about Pikachu, and I know I stated this before, but I'm not going to stop stating this because it really annoys the crap out of me. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it whenever Pikachu can beat something so powerful like a Dragonite or a Metagross or something else, but can still lose to a beginner's Snivy. How does that make sense? I cannot
Cartoon
wrap my
logic.
brain around that. Say what?
Anyway, I said cartoon logic.
Pokemon logic.
I mean, they have to apply cartoon logic somewhere. It pretty much kicks every show in the butt at one point or another.
Agreed. But I would love for them to replace Ash. Are they going to? No. Um,
Well,
are there many people who could replace Ash? Yes. Richie being one. I would love to see Gary take over.
Even though
that'd be
he's
fun.
not really a Pokemon trainer anymore.
I know it's sad, but I think he could pick back up. Shake the rust off, you know?
Well, I will give you two examples where they did try to shake things up. The first one being Pokemon Chronicles. Did you all
With
see that?
with Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and wasn't Raikou essentially the
Yeah.
focus?
Yep. Okay, so other than Pokemon Chronicles, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon was another one. I was
But the
really
game,
excited about that. Not the game, the series.
I didn't even know it was a series. Shows how
I
much I
only
can
It
do.
was a series.
I only saw like the first episode. I didn't know they continued it after a first episode, but I'm glad to hear that.
But that's not
Yeah,
really much of
they
a
also
main
did one for.
anime. That's more of a spin-off, so I don't really count that.
Well,
Yeah,
they
that's
still made
true.
an anime episode of the Mystery Dungeon, and they also made, was it Pokemon Origins?
Yes, there's that one too.
And Pokemon
Pokemon
Origins,
Origins
wait,
and Pokemon
I
Generations.
loved, I loved Pokemon Origins. Sucks it only had 4 episodes because they really could have dragged that out. It was way, 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 way too rushed, but it was so good in those 4 episodes.
Yeah, I was really liking Alon and his Mega Charizard X.
I like the fact that they actually had the hand showing up in Lavender Town. I thought that was really cool, like the hand on his shoulder.
Ah,
Did y'all see that?
uh,
It's
you said.
briefly in my
Oh
memory.
yeah, I saw that.
Okay. Well, if people don't know, there's in the original games, there's this person that you could talk to, this NPC, talking about if ghosts aren't real, then why's that hand flying like above your shoulder or something? And then they actually implemented that into the actual series by having a ghost hand on his shoulder whenever he was talking to a character in the anime. I thought that was really cool.
Mhm. Yeah. I love how they reference back to their older material, rather.
Agreed.
But
But yeah,
yeah,
to close this one off, go ahead, Crystal.
oh no, you continue. I was gonna wrap it up.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, to wrap this particular controversy up, yes, Ash needs to go away permanently, never to return
Take
again.
Jesse and James with
Take a
him.
long walk off the shore. I don't know. I think I prefer Jesse and James more than Butch and Cassidy.
Same.
Eh.
Whenever they say his name wrong, Biff.
Yeah, because they can never say it right. I and honestly, I do prefer Jesse and James over Annie and Oakley as well, even though they were just part of a movie.
Yeah.
But they're still Team Rocket members, so I'm counting them. Come at me. But yeah, Ash needs to go away. Pikachu, I wish would, but it's not going to. Same with Ash. Um, and I think a lot of people, more people than what you two may think, would want Ash to be gone as well. And I can't be the only one who's sick of seeing posts about how Ash is better than Red on Facebook. That's
I think
sad.
I think people
Yeah,
just
that's.
post that for attention.
Yeah. I think
Even
that.
then, even if they're just trying to get attention, it still saddens me that people are so stupid.
Yeah, I've actually been trying to start reading the anime more because of that and what have you. So, well, not anime. Reading the manga.
Reading the anime and watching the manga.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm sorry. My head's a little frazzled right now.
You're a little frazzled.
Giving
Well,
you this
we're
look. I
just
know you
wrapping
can't see
up.
it.
Stop giving me a look I can't see.
Yes, I'm going to give you a look that you can't see. But no, I do want to bounce back real quick though. I do want to say that despite our commentary about Pokemon having been sexist in some of their appeal or what have you, I do want to say that I have ordered off of PokemonCenter.com, and granted, I haven't really ordered a shirt or anything off of there. I do want to say that their hats are exceptionally awesome because they accommodate my ponytail. They have a hole in the back and they're adjustable. And so I'm really liking my new hat.
Yay, hats. All right. So, Crystal, do the wrap up.
Okay, let me see if I can remember it. Thank you all for tuning into the Pedal Dance podcast. Crystal, along with Chris and
Yo.
Ty,
Hi.
and be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, whatever it
Tell
is you
us how
like
we are.
doing.
Tell us.
You all can even jump off a bridge, but not really because I don't want to promote that kind of stuff here. But that's
Too
always
late.
an
You already said
option.
it. Too late. You already said it. It's in the video now.
Wow.
I live next to one.
Wow. On that note, you listeners enjoy the rest of your life, however long or short that may be. Tune in next time.
Later.
Later.